When supply chains break and grocery shelves are either empty or unaffordable, the people still eating well are the ones who planted the right crops months earlier. Not the prettiest crops, not the most exotic. The 8 crops that grow fast, store for months without electricity, deliver real calories, and most importantly, hand you seeds you can replant year after year without spending another dollar. These 8 crops are chosen because they check every box that matters. Easy to grow, calorie dense, storable without refrigeration, and self-renewing. Let us get into it, because the 8th one alone could change how you think about your backyard. Number 8 is zucchini, a crop that produces so aggressively your real problem becomes what to do with the surplus, not whether you will have enough. One healthy plant can realistically produce 20 to 30 pounds of squash across a season. Here's a growing trick that solves the most common beginner mistake. Build a small mound of soil about 12 inches high and 3 feet wide and plant your seeds at the top. Zucchini hates sitting in wet soil, and the mound keeps water draining away from the stem, which dramatically cuts down on rot and disease. Here's the part almost everyone gets backward. Most people harvest zucchini far too young. If you want seeds in long-term storage, you need to let a few fruits grow to full size, the size of a forearm or larger. Contrary to what most gardeners assume, fully mature zucchini does not turn tough or woody inside. It stays soft and usable, and more importantly, that is when the seeds inside are fully developed and easy to collect. A whole, mature zucchini kept in a cool, dry spot can last several months without any refrigeration. When you are ready, cut one open, scoop out the seeds, rinse off the pulp, and dry them on a paper towel for about a week before storing in a paper envelope or jar. Properly dried zucchini seeds remain viable for several years, and do not throw away the seeds you are not replanting. Roasted with a little oil and salt, they make a genuinely and nutrient-dense snack with magnesium, zinc, and healthy fats. Number 7 is spaghetti squash, which is built for winter rather than summer. One plant typically produces 5 to 8 squash, and stored in a cool, dry, dark spot, those squash can last several months without canning or refrigeration. You harvest in early fall and are still eating fresh-tasting food months later. Growing it follows the same mound method as zucchini, and here is something most beginners do not realize. Spaghetti squash climbs extremely well. Train it up a trellis, fence, or simple A-frame structure, and you get a full harvest from a couple of square feet of ground space instead of a wide, sprawling vine. Cooked and scraped with a fork, the flesh separates into pasta-like strands that take on whatever flavor you pair them with. Seed saving works exactly like zucchini, and the seeds themselves are worth roasting for a snack rich in magnesium and healthy fats. Number 6 is the potato, and there's no getting around the fact that potatoes are one of the most efficient calorie sources you can grow. 1 pound of potatoes delivers roughly 350 to 400 calories along with the carbohydrates your body needs for sustained physical work. They tolerate poor soil and cold, and they store for months in a cool, dark space. Here's where we need to be straight with you, because this is where a lot of viral gardening content gets it wrong. You may have seen claims online that a single small potato tower made from chicken wire can produce 80, 100, even 150 pounds of potatoes. Multiple university extension trials and independent grower tests have checked this claim directly, and it does not hold up. Potatoes form on underground stems called stolons near the original seed piece, not by climbing upward through buried stem sections the way the tower theory assumes. Side-by-side trials comparing towers to straw mulch and traditional rows have generally found towers produce the same or slightly less per plant than ground-grown potatoes. The real advantage of a tower or grow bag is not a yield multiplier, it is space efficiency and easier harvesting without digging up a whole bed. If you have the ground space, a traditional bed or straw mulch row will reliably outperform a tower per plant. If you are working with a small yard or a patio, a tower or large grow bag is still a smart, space-saving choice. Just set your yield expectations honestly rather than chasing a number that has never been independently reproduced. If this kind of honest, practical growing knowledge is useful to you, subscribe to this channel right now and hit the bell. We bring back this kind of self-sufficiency information every week, and we are not interested in viral exaggerations, only what actually works. Subscribe so you have it before you need it. Number 5 is beans, your protein crop. Dry beans run roughly 15 to 20% protein by weight and store for years when kept cool and dry. The key decision is choosing climbing varieties, pole beans, or runner beans, rather than bush beans, since climbing types grow vertically on a trellis or simple teepee frame and can produce a substantial dry bean harvest from just a couple of feet of ground space. Plant after the last frost, let them climb on their own, and harvest once the pods are dry and brittle. Seed saving could not be simpler. The beans you eat are the same beans you replant, so just set aside a portion of your harvest for next season. Number 4 is winter squash, specifically butternut or acorn varieties, which fill the nutritional gap that pure starch and protein crops leave behind. Winter squash is dense in vitamin A and stores for 4 to 6 months without any processing, bridging the gap between fresh harvest and deep winter. Like spaghetti squash, these varieties climb well on a trellis, which means you do not need to sacrifice large amounts of ground space. One plant typically yields 4 to 6 squash. Roast it, mash it, turn it into soup, and save the seeds the same way you would with any other squash, since they are just as good roasted as a mineral-rich snack. Number 3 is the tomato, but grown with a survival mindset rather than a fresh eating one. For storage and preservation purposes, paste varieties, like San Marzano or Amish. Paste outperforms slicing tomatoes since they have less water content and hold up better when dried, sauced, or fermented. A healthy plant can produce a substantial harvest across a full season. Seed saving from tomatoes is genuinely simple. Squeeze the seeds and surrounding gel from a ripe fruit into a small jar of water. Let it ferment for 2 to 3 days until a thin layer forms on top, which breaks down the natural germination inhibiting coating. Then rinse and dry the seeds on a paper towel before storing them. Properly dried tomato seeds remain viable for several years. Number 2 is the sunflower, specifically oilseed varieties bred for food production rather than ornamental display. One mature seed head can realistically yield close to a pound of seeds, and a pound of whole sunflower seed kernels delivers somewhere in the range of 2,500 calories along with a meaningful amount of fat, which is genuinely rare among common garden crops and matters because dietary fat is essential for calorie absorption and sustained energy. Growing them is straightforward. Full sun, decent soil, spaced about a foot apart, reaching 6 to 8 feet tall within about 90 days. Harvest when the back of the flower head turns brown and the seeds feel firm, then hang the head to dry before threshing the seeds out by hand. Seed saving is automatic since the seeds you eat are the same seeds you replant. Number 1 is the pea, and it earns the top spot because it is the only crop on this list that feeds you while actively improving your soil. Peas are a nitrogen-fixing legume, pulling nitrogen from the air and depositing it into the soil through their root systems, which matters enormously in a scenario where commercial fertilizer is not reliably available. Beyond that, peas are fast, cold-tolerant, and space-efficient when grown on a trellis, with a single 6-foot trellis capable of producing a meaningful pound-for-pound harvest of dry peas in a compact footprint. Plant as soon as the soil can be worked in spring, since peas tolerate frost better than almost anything else on this list. Harvest shelling peas once the pods are plump and dry, and save a portion of that harvest to replant the following season. That is the full list of 8. None of them require fertilizer shipments, special equipment, or technical expertise. What they require is starting before you actually need them, since several of these crops take a full season to reach the kind of production that makes a real difference. One crop worth mentioning that did not make this list: corn. Corn is easy to grow and the seeds are simple to save, but it is a poor use of space for the calories it returns. A single stalk produces only 1 or 2 ears, which means meaningful caloric output requires a genuinely large plot. If you have the acreage, corn is a fine addition. If you are working with a typical backyard or urban lot, the 8 crops above all outperform it on a calories per square foot basis. 8 crops, fast-growing, storable, and self-renewing from your own saved seed. Plant them before you need them, not after. The next video is already up. Go watch it now.